to Prehistoric Companions. I'm Dylan. This is Wiz. He's the star of our show today. Today I am roughly 12,045 days old. This is my 33rd revolution around the sun. And when I look back at my life, I'm just amazed at where I am currently right now. By day, I am a middle school science teacher. I teach 6th grade science, is all about Earth and space, 8th grade science, physical and chemical, which we'll share a little bit of some chemical science with you guys a little bit later today. Me and my kiddos made bread this week, so we'll check out a little bit of that. I also teach forensic science, so detective work, solving crimes. And then I also have an after-school program where kiddos can come and learn about amazing reptiles like this guy, the Dumerils Boa. So sometimes your pets get sick and you gotta take them to the vet, and oftentimes, you can expect a hefty bill to come along with it. I do the very best to make sure that all of my animals get the very best. They always have clean enclosures, fresh water, they are on feeding schedules, they get appropriately sized meals, I interact with them, they get to come out of their enclosures for enrichment. I really try to offer them the very best that I can. The Wiz here is just an absolutely amazing animal. He is about a 14-year-old male Dumerils Boa. Species comes from Madagascar. He's probably just a little under 6 feet long. I've laid down next to him and fully stretched out. Yeah, he's just a little shorter than I am tall, and I'm 6'2". This guy is such a sweet boy. I've only had him for maybe a little over a year, maybe about a year and a half. And he comes to all my reptile shows. He's definitely the one that I whip out at the end of my shows, because all the guests are just whoa! They thought all the ball pythons were impressive. Then I bust out this guy, they're like, dang, that's a big snake. Then I'll always get the toddlers and line them up in a row, and then usually about 6 or 7 toddlers it takes to hold this guy. But recently we've had to take this guy to the vet because he developed a mass that was rather concerning. About 4/5 down the way of his body, around this area here, he developed a weird mass. It literally, I kid you not, looked like he swallowed a stick sideways. I unfortunately don't have any good documentation or photographs. My camera couldn't quite really capture. It's funny how cameras can't ever quite capture what things are really like in real life, because when I was looking at this thing, it looked serious. Seriously, my first thought was, this is cancer. This has got to be a tumor, and this is going to be probably an expensive surgery in the future. So we rang up my vet over in El Paso Country Club Animal Care. The exotic vet down there, she specializes more with lizards and birds, I think. She's not that well rehearsed with snakes, but they definitely didn't shy away from the opportunity to learn and investigate, and help the best they could with whatever the heck was going on with this dude. So we got in there, it was roughly 2 appointments. The first appointment, they pulled some samples. So this poor guy had to get poked a couple times, some needles they had to get in there and try and draw a sample. The first time they said they drew a bunch of urine. So he had a swollen bladder. So this first invoice says routine checkup exam, x-ray, reptilian standard profile. This was roughly $435. So that was an expensive visit, but I'd much rather know what's going on than being left totally in the dark. So the x-ray did not reveal anything. We didn't see a tumorous mass. We didn't see anything more really unusual. I think they did say that there was a partially undigested rat. So prior to his vet visit, he hasn't eaten for at least a month and a half, and he has been having trouble going to the bathroom. All of his enclosure specs are dialed in. His hot spot on the hot end of his enclosure is about 89, 90 degrees. The cool end, 75. His enclosure is on the bottom, so more towards the ground where it's colder. I keep the roughly ambient air temperature here in my reptile room between 75 and 80 degrees. It kind of fluctuates between that. This guy gets roughly 40 to 60% humidity at all times. Always has fresh water. I mean, his environment's dialed in, so it's very unusual. I'm not sure what this was. So far not a tumor, but then we had to go back for another vet visit because they needed to draw more samples to send off to a pathologist. This invoice was $89 more. And our vet called the other day and said that the results came back all clear. There's no unusual cells. There's no indication that the mass was tumorous. So My mom even helped out a little bit. She chat GPT'd like what the swollen mass was, like kind of some ideas of what it could have been. My mom chat GPTs everything. But it did come up with some unusual things, like, and probably the most compelling thing that it did come up with is that it could have been a urinary tract infection. So he did have quite a bit of inflammation, and he hasn't gone to the bathroom prior to that, but after that first vet visit, when I got him home, I put him in the shower and let him soak under some lukewarm water. He really loves his showers. And he peed a whole bunch then. And then the very next day, the mass was like half reduced. And this probably been about a month since our first vet visit, and the mass is virtually gone. Like, I just took him out, gave him another shower earlier, cleaning out his enclosure, getting him fresh water, and I was analyzing him, examining him, and yeah, it's like it never even happened. It was just the most bizarre thing. So we'll keep a close eye on this guy. You know, we'll take him out regularly, just really analyze, check his whole body condition more regularly. I'm just so glad that, you know, things came back normal. He's back eating. He's already had 2 meals since then. So he's ready for more reptile shows. Hopefully he's got some good years left in him. The species doesn't really live all that long. Maybe 20 years, a little over 20 years. So hopefully he's still got some good years in him, because I still yet want to breed him. I have him and his girlfriend Amber. We should bust her out and take a look at her, because she's even bigger than him. But I would love to breed this guy, get some babies from him before he gets too old. And Dumerils Boas are growing in popularity. There is an increasing demand for them, and they fetch a decent price. On Morph Market, I'm seeing they're about between $450 and like $800-ish. I don't think there's any morph mutations. There might be like a couple different color palettes, some like pinks and silvers and browns, but no like morph mutations like ball pythons. But gosh, their patterns are still just ridiculous cool. Like, they refer to these as like tiki heads because they kind of look like a tiki head. But yeah, I just like kind of how bigger he is. I've wanted bigger snakes now that I'm like really well rehearsed with snake behavior. And this is what I really just want to share with my guests at my shows. Just show them how amazing and sweet-natured these guys actually really are when you take the time to create positive experiences with them, and they know that they cannot be afraid of you and that they feel safe around you. Like, that just feels good for me. The fact that you could take an animal that's usually terrified of everything and they feel safe and comfortable, I'm glad I can offer that security for them. Let's take a moment here and go check out some of the bread that my 8th graders made as we are studying chemical reactions. Right now we're learning about chemical reactions in 8th grade science, and I'm always trying to think of ways how I could supplement the curriculum or do more engaging activities, or take these concepts we're learning about in class and apply it to real life situations. So we made some bread. Bread is essentially just 4 ingredients: water, flour, yeast, salt. I did not give my students a specific recipe to follow. They kind of just freeballed it. We had an old school scale with the weights that you move back and forth, and they measured out in grams each ingredient. I gave them a worksheet to jot down the proportions of the ingredients and capture a weight in grams, as well as to describe the physical and chemical properties of the substances they're working with. We have our flour, Triticum aestivum, the specific species of wheat used for bread. Sodium bicarbonate, baking soda. That's just an additional one. It helps with carbon dioxide production. It helps it to rise better, so while baking soda is not like a necessary ingredient for bread, you know, it helps it rise, makes it more fluffy. Then we got Saccharomyces cerevisiae. Yeast is a single-celled organism. It is a living thing, and as it is, you're making up your batch of bread, it is going to be eating the glucose, the sugars that's in the bread and the flour. And then the yeast is going to create a byproduct, ethanol and CO2. The ethanol is what is in wine, beer, like alcoholic beverages, but it's the CO2 that helps the bread rise and what all the bubbles in the bread are. Flour also contains a lot of starch, and in that starch is glucose, and that's what the yeast is going to be eating and breaking down, and in the process making the ethanol and CO2. Fortunately, these kids are not going to get all wonky, feel crazy after eating the bread, because the ethanol, as it's baking, the heat from the oven is going to bake out any of the ethanol, so no one's getting drunk off of bread today. And what all the bubbles that you see when you're slicing into the bread, all those bubbles, that's where the CO2 pockets were. Then we have sodium chloride, table salt. So the salt not only adds flavor to your bread, but it'll slow down a little bit of the bread fermentation. It'll strengthen the gluten structures, and good old high quality H2O water. So yeah, in class on Friday, we just finished state testing, so I figured what a fun way to wrap up our week. Let's make some bread, do the fun part, and then we come back on Monday, we'll look more at the atomic structures, see what's happening at the atomic scale level, see how the atoms that make up each ingredient, each substance, how they rearrange when they come into contact with other substances, see how the atoms are rearranging to form new molecules and extended structures. So let's get this bread on our baking sheet with wax paper and get their bread baked. Alright, here we are. We got like 15, 20 of these breads all cooked up. They are a little questionable. Let's go ahead and maybe try a little sample here, see kind of what this tastes like, if this is edible. Yeah, these kids put like no salt. It's actually not that bad. It has like a little bit of flavor, but definitely more salt. But it tastes like bread. I took all my students and I tried to take their first letter of their name, so like a J or a B or an A. Mostly so I could remember whose belonged to who. Now this one is Amber. This is Wiz's girlfriend. When I first got her, she wasn't that nice. She would like try to eat you through the glass in her enclosure. But through progressive, positive experiences and building trust, she is now handleable, and she is so cool. I brought her to a handful of my shows. People get to interact with her, and she is just massive. She's definitely probably at least 6.5 feet long. She's a little longer than I am tall. Definitely a very impressive animal. She is gorgeous. Like, she's definitely, you know, the name suits her, Amber. She's got a lot of amberish kind of colors.
And dang, don't she look good against that luxury vinyl plank floor?
Definitely to non-snake people, this would be considered a very big snake, but unfortunately here in New Mexico, we can't have any, like, really true big snakes. If I could, man, and if I had someone else living here with me, a second person, I would love a Burmese python. We're also sporting some US ARK merch. US ARK is the United States Association of Reptile Keepers, so if you're interested in keeping exotics and you love your animals, you love all animals, you're interested in keeping like different kinds of species because you want to learn about them, well, these guys really help protect our rights and make sure that people are responsible, things are ethical, so support US ARK. And we're almost at 1,500 subscribers, I think, like 1,460 something, not sure. We're almost there. Let's get to 1,500 and we'll do a giveaway. Now, I do have some baby ball pythons on the way. Here in the next month and a half, they should be hatching. So if we hit that 1,500 subscribers, who knows, we might just do a ball python giveaway. Alright, you guys, well, that's gonna wrap up today's video. Me and Wiz really greatly appreciate you. We hope you guys stay safe. Do us a huge favor and hit that like button. And subscribe if you're new to the channel, if reptiles are your thing. Stay safe, and me and all my prehistoric companions hope to see you guys in the next video.